Hat on, beautiful. Thanks for being here on time. And we encourage you to come early. I wasn't able to join earlier today, but please come early on Fridays for some social interaction, just to talk to everybody and share some stories, get to know the community a little bit. We really want you to feel part of the family. And we want to meet all of our agents. We wish we were out in the field every day with y'all. And because we can't be, that's the best thing we can do for now. But I want to welcome you if this is your very first agent update. We do these every Friday. This is for all our DAC agents. My name is David Rutz, and I'm the founder of the company. My middle name is Allen, thus David Allen Capital. But we've got a great corporate team who loves working with all of the agents. We got a great leadership team in the field. And so, welcome to the family. We're here to make an impact. We really want to make a difference in business owners' lives, right? We really want to fuel them. And we also want to offer a great opportunity for people to be independent agents with us. And we value both of those. Not everybody, it's not the right fit for everybody. But for those who see how this can really make an impact for business owners, they want to tell people about it. And for those who see this can really make an impact for someone as an independent agent, they want to recruit a team. And if you want to do both, then you can become a market leader for us, right? But if you just want to help clients, then you can be a great impact. We call it like being a light in your community and or a lighthouse. And anyone in your vicinity should know about our funding through you. So that way, if and when it's time for them to need funding and we're the right source for them, which we believe we are in most cases, they get funding through you. And you can help lift up and raise up the performance of the business owners in your town. And then if you look at our income opportunity and you say, hey, I can really see how the product is helping businesses, and I can see how being an agent introducing that product could be a real good opportunity, then you become a light or lighthouse of the opportunity too. So you got a beacon that you're spinning around called business funding, and then you got another beacon called income opportunity. And the person who can show both of those beacons is going to attract businesses and attract agents and override it. And if you want to encourage and lead that team, that's the ultimate perfect fit. It really is that simple. There's not much more to this. There's a lot of moving parts, but in the end, we identify businesses with growth and needing leverage to fund that growth, or if they're flat and they need funding to spur growth, or they're in a rescue play and they're struggling and they need money to stay alive or to grow. In all three cases, our funding is usually the best source. And then you look at the agent opportunity and you look over there and you say, okay, this is a way that can make significant money without having to be licensed. It can happen immediately. Can earn money immediately. You don't, we'll give you all the training. There's no risk. If someone decides to quit, they didn't lose their pants trying the business. It's not a shiny object where they're just going to chase something that's got a high competitive nature. You don't have to worry about someone else really doing what you do. If they're already doing what we do, they want to join us because we do it better. So you got a real good opportunity to be the lighthouse of your town for funding, and your town can expand to your whole state, country, to the extent that you can communicate and broadcast is the extent that you'll have success. Staying local is the key. Expanding local is how you scale. Same with the income opportunity. Recruiting local is the key. Communicating out part of that is how you scale. It really is that simple. A plus B equals C. Do A, do B, you'll get C. All right. With that said, got some agent updates for you. Number one, follow up. For anyone who's got people in the application phase, as much as we say we'll handle everything once they apply, if there's a stall, if there is an inefficiency in the system where the client didn't complete their app, or they've completed their app, but they're not engaging with our follow-up, they're not taking our call, or they've gotten calls, but they haven't called us back, or they haven't uploaded a document that they need, you're notified, right? You get status updates. So follow-up is critical, as we always say, but on our corporate call today, we realize that it needs to be talked about again. All right. So if you get a message that app started, I'm not talking about Giggle. When we're on these calls, we're not talking about our instant funding. Instant funding is instant funding. That's not our business funding. Okay. Instant funding is an automated instant. It's like applying for a credit card. We're not focused on that. That you get support directly from the company, from Giggle on that. I'm not talking about that. Anytime I'm talking about funding, I'm talking about real funding, 15K or higher. All right. So just so you know that, please don't say, what about Plaid? And that's instant funding. We don't touch that. We send someone somewhere else. They fill it out. They either get an offer and take it online or they don't. Right. And we hope they do. We encourage that. But that's not our business focus. That's not what we're trying to be a lighthouse in our community doing, scaling brick and mortar businesses to the next level or someone doing 100 grand to 400 grand. We're not necessarily here to help the 4,000 go to 6,000. They can do that, but they're probably better off getting a credit card, many of them, if they can qualify, right? Because it is what it is. But if someone has got the qualification for our funding and they get that app started, sent to Bank Breezy to complete the app, and you don't get the second email that says completed app, they're stalled. They're stalled. And we're reaching out to them. We've got an internal team that reaches out, but I got to tell you, that's a phone number coming from another area code. It's an email coming from someone maybe they don't know. They applied at your link. You get paid the most. Encourage you. If you got a stall, stomp on it, right? A jump. If someone gets app started and you don't get app completed, now app started sent to Bank Breezy, not sent to Giggle. Sent to Giggle, you won't get a status update from us that they completed their app. They've sent to Giggle. You'll get status updates from Giggle that they linked their banks and got approved and all that. But if it's sent to Bank Breezy and you don't get a completed app within a few minutes, they stalled. They didn't. It takes 3 more minutes to complete the app. That's it. If you don't get both of those, that's called a stall. Right. And at that point, we're reaching out to them, but we're asking you to reach out to them as well, find out what's going on, what's the reason. It's usually they didn't have their bank statements. So knowing that, if our number one cause for stall is I didn't know I would have to upload my bank statements, then what can we do on the front end? We obviously inform them you're going to need 3 months bank statements when you apply. That's it. As long as they're on your computer, upload. Oh, I want to do it from my phone. Well, then you have to download them into your files tab. You can't upload photos. So yeah, you can apply from your phone as long as you have your bank statements on your phone under your files. Most people don't know how to do that. So can you do it from your phone? Yes, but the number one reason people stall is they don't have their bank statements ready. They didn't know they needed to. Number two, they're on their mobile phone and they don't know how to get their bank statements onto their mobile phone to apply. And of course, you can go on your online bank and download your files, but some people don't know how to add an icon to their phone, let alone store them in their files, then find them in their files to upload them. So just tell them apply from your computer, right? No problem. Go to your desktop, download the PDF statements. They got to be PDFs. Download them to your desktop and then upload them on the application. That's all you got to do. Driver's license voided check. We're going to need those, but we don't require them anymore for application because, again, that was causing more stalls. And it's not required to get an approval. It is required before you get the funding. So it becomes an extra step they're going to have to do. So we ask for it up front, just so you guys know that's why it's no longer required, because it's not contingent to get an approval or to apply to have those, but it is before you get funding. So it does slow things down if they then take, a day to give us their driver's license. We can't fund them until we have it, right? So going in, what are the requirements? 3 months bank statements, driver's license, voided check. What's required to get an offer? 3 months bank statements, uploaded. So just knowing that going in, if I'm talking to someone, first thing I'll say is, yeah, if you're going to apply, hey, if you're going to apply, I suggest you do it from your desktop because you have to upload 3 months bank statements. Now that's, of course, if they're 15,000 or higher. Under 15, you can do it from your phone. It's got to have your routing and account number to link to Giggle. But over 15, yeah, you're going to want to do it from your desktop unless you've got your bank statement stored under your files folder on your phone. Yeah, I know how to work files. Okay, great. So that's the main agent update is we're trying to solve the stalls. We're still getting to 40 to 50% of apps stalling, not completing the app. And so we got a team working on, but that means hiring, How you pay for that. There's costs to chase packages of half applications. And there's one argument that says don't chase them at all. The agents should be chasing them. The agent should say, hey, it's not a completed application yet. If you didn't have that, they wouldn't even know that they applied. It would just be a non-app. So that's why I'm bringing it up on here is we need you guys who make the most money, the agents, and the team leaders. All of you should be teaching your team this. You are in the overrides. A stall, if 50% of our applications are stalled and never completed, that's a lot of packages that could become fundings. Now, it's not that high, but it's near that high. And then we're working them and we just can't keep working to scale. The model doesn't work if we're doing 2,000 applications a day. Model doesn't work. We'd have to spend too much on internal staff. The bonus revenue would have to be reduced significantly. Your commission would have to be reduced significantly. So we're asking all of you to have the culture be, we refer, but we follow up until completed. And then we follow up if needed after approved. Because again, I had a client who they were offering the money to, and the client wasn't calling them back. So I could have just sat back and go, well, oh well, they'll either get funded or they won't. Or I can get on my horse and call and say, hey, Bubba, we offered you money in a polite, kind way. We got an offer out for you. Did you see the offer? Do you have any questions about it? Would you like me to get them on the phone with you to answer them? You can prod a little bit. Again, they're getting phone calls from phone numbers they don't know. And I don't know if about you, but me personally, if you're not in my phone book, it goes right to my voicemail. It doesn't even ring. It's like a block call. I don't even want to see it. If you're not in my address book already, I'll see you on my voicemails. If you don't leave a voicemail, my phone is useless to you. So, and that's how a lot of people are now. There's so much spam call coming, right? Area codes don't get answered. So a lot of your clients might not even be taking our call, even though we're emailing, even though we're texting and calling, they don't know. So it's your job to help move that along. Okay. Now, best cases, half the time they just flow right through perfect, but the other half they don't. And that's a lot of low hanging fruit, good offers. So that's first thing is follow up, follow up, follow up. So now I want to call stories. I want to read some stories to you. And there's a reason why I want to do this. I got to put these on. I just want to share a couple things for you. These are just a few fundings. Latanya, congratulations. Latanya had a funding an adult memory care facility. They got 65 grand to purchase extra beds and extra equipment. This is just all in the last couple of days. 65 grand to purchase extra beds and extra equipment. It's a growth capital play because they wanted to be able to take on more patients. 65 grand. Great job, Latanya. Wade, an events center, got a renewal for $12,000, needed funds for payroll. It was a rescue play. Didn't have money for payroll. They got it. They're paying people today. They got the money yesterday, 12 grand. Auto body and repair, David, 80 grand. Congrats. That wasn't this David. Not sure what David that is, but David helped auto body and repair company get $80,000. It was needed capital for purchases of equipment. Congratulations, David. Healthcare facility, Melvin. Congrats, Melvin. $105,000 healthcare facility for the elderly. Needed working capital because government late on monthly payments. This is the fourth time they've come to us for funding for this reason, because the government slow pays healthcare facilities. They need to keep running operations, so they get the money from us to keep running operations until the government pays them. Melvin, congrats. It's the fourth funding they've got from us. Home remodeler, Eric, congrats. $35,000 home remodeler needed funds to complete a current job to flip a home. They had to complete a job before they could sell and bring in money, got 35 grand. Now, obviously, they have rentals. They have revenue coming in. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to get them the money. We don't help fixer flippers, but we help people who are fixing and flipping as long as they have revenue from their business coming in regularly, not counting that, right? So congrats, Eric, on that. Lee helped a landscape company get $70,000. They needed to hire additional crew and buy also equipment. Another growth play. Those are all in the last couple days, guys. 70 grand. Lee, and I only have their first names. I don't have their last names on here. Maybe we'll start getting asking for their last names. Wait, I know I said I only need their first names, but maybe we should recognize first and last name just because, but those are just in the last couple of days. So congrats. That's how our funding works. That's how our funding works. So stories, stories, stories. Every one of you can take this story now and reverberate it, amplify it. You know what, when you're a kid and you're learning how to play the guitar, um, acoustic is amazing. There's no amplifier. But electric, man, you want that amplifier. Whoa, and it's so much louder, right? You guys don't want to be acoustic with these stories. You want to be amplifiers. You want to spread them through your team. You know how many people on your team aren't here right now? Thousands. Literally thousands of agents in DRC are not on this call. Thousands will not hear this recording. Thousands of them. They're focused on other things and they don't feel a need to plug in all the time. They're maybe probably not as engaged as others, but they need to hear these stories because these stories are social proof of success for the agents. The agents all earn nice checks on those. Half those names you've never heard of, most of them you've never heard of. And those are just the last couple of days funding. And that's how we funded thousands of businesses like what you just heard. That's the norm. That is the norm of the type fundings we get on the regular, right? And those agents who are everyday people, half of them don't attend our Zooms. You don't have to be on these Zooms to do well, but you have to understand the product to do well. You have to be willing to do this to do well. You have to be willing to talk to people. So here's the mirror. Stories, stories, stories. How many stories have you created with our funding? I don't know. You don't have to answer that. But I would say how many stories could you have created with our funding so far? If you've been here 30 days, 30 stories. Because you could have gotten a story a day. Now, you'd had to talk to a lot of businesses to have a story a day. But I had someone I talked to yesterday, he's probably on right now. He got a story on how to market his funding better through email by talking to a client. Great. He calls it a micro success because it wasn't an application, but it was a micro success. It was a great discussion. Stories. As you're actively building, you're going to actively have positive stories. And even a negative one becomes a story, a perspective on how to overcome that wave next time. I talk about sailors being seaworthy. Boats have to be seaworthy. You got to have a vessel that can handle the big seas, but then you got to have a captain who knows what they're doing too. And you don't leave. I've got a sailboat that came from the Caribbean. I live in Lake Michigan, off Lake St. Clair, which is one of the Great Lakes. But my boat was built, and it was part of a fleet in the Caribbean. So it's built for the ocean. I've got it in the lake. Now, if I were to go out tomorrow and say I'm going to go from Florida to Ireland, that wouldn't be smart. The boat's seaworthy, but the captain ain't. Right? I've never been in waves over a certain size. I don't know how to handle gale force winds on my boat. If it's storming, I don't go out. I mean, it's real simple. I'm not out in the middle of the ocean. I leave my dock and I day sail and I bring it back. And if it's raining, I'm like, yeah, if storm's coming, we should go in and dock up before the storm arrives. I've never been out in a storm in my sailboat. I've never had to reef my sails or lower the sails down to only halfway up because the winds are so darn strong you can't have your sail all the way up. It'll blow your boat over. I've never had to do that. I couldn't handle that. I could, but I'd be figuring it out on the job. You guys, the best thing you can do is become seaworthy in your business by having conversations. So hearing these stories become stories you tell others. I just told you those stories. Write them down. Start collecting stories until you have your own, you share others. Stories, facts tell, stories sell. Stories influence people. They bring social proof. Just hearing those, didn't that feel good? To hear some stories of just I think those are all in the last 48 hours. I can't say that for sure, but I think it was yesterday or the last couple days. What I just said to you, those are all real life stories. Doesn't that bring some social proof that, come on, this healthcare facility, this is their fourth time they got 105 grand. Melvin, congrats, Melvin. They needed working capital because the government didn't play. That's not a rescue play, but it's a working capital need. And it made sense to them. Auto body repair, 80 grand. Needed capital for a purchase of new equipment to either keep their business going or expand. I mean, come on, a home remodeler needed 35 grand because it couldn't finish the job to get the house flipped. Needed to do that so he converted it into a check rather than sitting there still. A $70,000 landscape company needed to hire additional crew and equipment because had expansion could grow, but needed new people. Great job, Lee. I mean, these are real stories. That's social proof that you can do. Now, um, so the mirror, something called the mirror technique. It's you go look in the mirror and you say, and this is a gut check. It's not a guilt check. All right. This is a gut check. It's not to shame. It's to check, is there more impact I can make? Is my light in my lighthouse shining bright or is it off? It doesn't matter that I can offer this. Am I? And if not, why? And just have a conversation with yourself. If not, why? And if there's a belief issue, identify it, report it, and let's solve it. McGuire was telling a story yesterday that he was talking to someone, and the guy said, I feel like this finding a client is like finding a needle in a haystack. Finding someone, it's got to be like a real unique situation where someone needs capital. And it was a belief issue that it was a lack of knowledge, right? They didn't know that 9 out of 10 businesses can't get approved at their bank. They didn't know that 6 out of 10 are breaking even or losing money businesses. They didn't know that most every business owner, brick and mortar, qualifies for our funding. Most every one of them does. Almost every one of them. I'm not talking about the person who's got the food truck that does 6,000 a month in sales, or the business that, the lights are all burnt out and no one's ever there and the owner's not even there and the energy is gone out of the place. I'm not talking about the rundown. I'm not talking about a community where nobody wants to be in the town. Unfortunately, some area is bad area to be in business and some businesses aren't good businesses. You can't save a bad business model. You can't, but you can help fuel a good business and a hardworking owner. You can help fuel and rescue a good business with a hardworking owner. And if you've got a brick and mortar, they're doing 40 or 50,000 a month or they're going out of business. You can't survive on under 30,000 a month if you're paying rent and you have product costs and stuff like that. You just can't. So every strip mall you go by, they're doing 30, 40, 50,000 a month. And they can get 30, 40, $50,000. This 15,000 minimum, we've had discussion, should we bump it to 30? Should we bump it to 30 so that we're not dealing with the 22, 23,000 one month, 12 the next? Right? Because it's really a startup or a struggle. It's not, no, there's some fueling on their way up. They're on their way up at 15, but generally you don't have a brick and mortar doing under 30 without them struggling bad because of cost. So we're not in the scarcity mindset. I'm not trying to speak harshly about those businesses, but don't think 15,000 a month is a lot of money in a business. It's not. That's not a lot. For anything under that is considered a hobby in the banking world. 10,000 a month is a sole proprietor. If you got staff and you're only doing 10,000 a month, what are you paying them? How much? Right? And if so, how much do you have left for you to earn and them to earn? And you're only doing 10,000 in sales or 15,000 in sales. How do you have any staff? So you can imagine that if you're the lender, so don't think 15,000 is a tough number. If so, switch ponds. Switch ponds. You're fishing for tuna, you're a business owner. If you're selling hot dogs, you don't want to go to the vegetarian convention. You'll sell none. Doesn't matter if you have the best hot dog on the planet. You're in business funding for businesses that are already in business, growing, or they need a rescue play, but the market is 15,000 or up is really the minimum. I would really look for 25, 30, and 40 and up. Brick and mortar, any local business brick and mortar is doing that. Anything under that is a struggle, and you should expect it to be a hard qualification. Now, you get some online businesses that have 15,000, 20,000, they don't have rent to pay, then they could be doing well, but usually they're small sole proprietors, 1 or 2 person shops, right? You start getting 80, 90, you get a landscape company with 10 crew members, they're doing 100,000, 200,000 at the low end, right? You get a roofing company, they're making 30,000 a roof or 15,000 a roof. They do, 10 roofs a week and they're doing 400,000 a month. I'm sorry, 400,000 a week. So you can get some real big businesses and C worthy. You may go, yeah, but David, I'm not ready for the C's of those businesses. Let me say this. It's a lot easier to deal with a business doing 100,000 a month than doing 10. Just gonna be honest. When I get a client who's doing 15,000 a month, they take a lot more energy than a business doing 150,000 a month. They have more questions, they have more concerns, they have more risk. They're on the verge of not being in business. If they're doing 15,000 a month, couple bad decisions, they're out of business. Someone's doing 150,000 a month, they're doing all right. They can move forward along just fine, right? So, follow up, follow up, follow up, story, 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 reverberate the stories, be an amplifier. Don't be a sound dampener, be a sound resonator, expand it. Okay. Um, LMS updates. We're recording things now. It's taken longer than we had hoped, but we've got all new sections. We got video recordings, all kinds of stuff being uploaded. It's coming. We're on it. Believe me, we want it before you guys do. It helps us. It saves us time and money. So we're recording as fast as we can to get it all up to date. Great job last night, Wade and Nicholas, on the BizOp. Great job attending. Now I'm just going to share this with all of you, being very transparent. I have retired not retired. That's a BS word. I was able to leave my corporate job because my business was outproducing my corporate job in 1991. I have never made less than six figures in this industry since 1991, and sometimes high in that realm. That is not to say anything except to say I'm speaking from experience. Most people will never do that in our industry. Not in funding, in the home-based entrepreneur, work for yourself industry. Most will never do that because most don't do what it takes. That's just the reality. Everybody can, most don't. Can, don't. Will, or won't. That's the difference maker. You guys, I've got a boat that I can sail to England in. I ain't doing it. I'm not sailing from Michigan to Florida. It came from Florida to Michigan. Someone else did that. It ain't going to be me. If it is, I'll take the mast down and go down the Mississippi and be safe. I'm not going out in the up in the northern waters out in the ocean. Not doing it. If I did, I'll stay close enough to shore to pull in and anchor anytime I see a storm. I'm not seaworthy, right? But we're not talking about sailing across the ocean, and I could figure it out. I could drop the sails and drift, stay away from a hurricane. Could figure it out. You could figure out how to succeed, but we're giving you the steps here. This is not sailing across the ocean. This is informing a business that you have funding and being able to answer their 4 or 5 questions, commonly asked questions. What does it cost? What are the terms? That's it. That's what they want to know. And if you can answer what are the costs and what are the terms and steer them away when it's the wrong thing because they don't have a good need, or encourage they consider it if they don't have other options because it's a need, then you can sail this vessel in the biggest oceans. And the bigger the business, the easier the conversation. Not harder. If you're dealing with people doing 4,000 a month, it's a grind. It's a grind. I don't like talking to giggle customers personally. I don't, because they're still just trying to make some revenue and they don't know how to link their bank. And I'll spend an hour just telling them how to find their credentials at their bank. Some of them, not all of them, but I'll spend hours and hours and maybe they'll take the offer and maybe I'll make 40 bucks. I love helping them. I want them to succeed. But sometimes taking this money at that size is not the right move. It is If it's a growth play, it's a great play. When you're under 15 grand, anything that's not a growth play is not a great play. Did you hear that? That's what I believe. So if I'm talking to a business and only doing 20,000 a month, if it's not a growth play, it's not a great play unless you're going out of business without taking it. And even then, if you're going to go out of business anyway, even after taking it, now you're going to go out of business with more debt. So do you have a growth play? Are you growing? Now, don't you want to be a lighthouse for your community and be a growth play? So, as long as you're transparent and upfront with them, you're seaworthy. And now the question is, will you or won't you? That's what it boils down to. I will tell you that I was talking to Wade this morning. When I first launched this business in 2015, we had one requirement, 20,000 a month, 1 year in business, 680 FICO score. If you weren't doing that, don't apply. 80% got approved, 80% accepted the offer, and the average funding was over $80,000. And there was no discussion. If you're not doing 20,000 a month, sorry. If you're not in business 1 year, sorry. If you don't have a 680 FICO, sorry, don't apply. And if you do, we're going to put in that application, you're declined. Sorry, you don't have a 680 FICO like you said. Sorry, you're not doing 20,000 like you said. Sorry, you haven't been in business 1 year like you said. Oh, you are? Great. You got an approval over 80% of the time. And over 80% of the time, they took the offer. And so going under that, having less than standard funding, what we'll call flex funding or market funding, where this waterfall process where we allow anyone with all kinds of stuff to get a funding because we want to say yes, we want to help a business. It turns this into a process of a lot more questions and a lot more opportunity for someone to get approved because we have many lenders now, but it also turns it into an opportunity to attract people who are barely qualifying. Don't let the minimums be the maximums, guys. The bigger you go, the easier it is. I'm just telling you the truth. It's like if you're in a 70-foot sailboat out in the ocean, it's a lot easier than a 20-footer. Same technique, same captain. Put me on a 70-foot yacht. I feel a lot better on the ocean than a 20-footer. On the Lake Michigan, I don't want to have to dock a 70-footer. Give me a 20-footer. When you're brand new, I get it. Give me someone who just, they're small. I get it. But I'm just telling you, if you really are looking at this as a business, you're here watching this for a reason. If this is your business, be a lighthouse. I'd be shooting for 30,000 and up, as I'd be my focused. I'd be focused on fuel plays or rescue plays at a certain size. And then I would not be, it's what the mirror test. Will you or won't you communicate that to people? Will you or won't you steer someone away from the wrong funding and steer them into the right? What's the difference? Desperation versus inspiration. Are they inspired by an idea that you're going to help fund? Man, those are fun. Are they desperate? Okay, if they're desperate, then it's like, is this going to solve your desperation or is it going to exacerbate it? If it's going to exacerbate it, that's not a rescue play. That's a death blow. Now, the good news is there's no scarcity of businesses, so you can feel this way. I can feel this way and say no to someone on their funding. You shouldn't do it. It's a death blow. Unfortunately, they usually don't come to us. But folks, please go out there with the confidence of the lighthouse of I'm fueling the inspiration of the business owners. There's millions of them. I'm not saving the desperation of the business unless it's really going to move them to the next level. Like that business who they've got a great healthcare facility. The government's paying them slow. They're in a desperate situation. They need money now, but it's not a death blow. It's a step up. It's a keeps them rolling until they get paid from the government. Or that house that's going to flip. They need or payroll. They needed payroll right now because they got a good business. They were a little short because of late pay on things. Getting 12 grand now to keep payroll smart. Those aren't desperation plays, but they are rescue plays. But man, inspiration. So if you labeled yourself as I'm a growth funding guru, come on now. Isn't that fun? My job is to help fund growth. I'm the growth funding guru. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's fun. Or I'm the emergency room for a growing business who's stable, and I'm going to help them bump. I'm going to figure it out. I'm the personal trainer to the business to help them go to the next level, whatever it is. But the mirror test, knowing what you can do and not doing it, you just have to ask yourself why. And is there something else, or is it just you're not driven? You don't have ambition. And not you, you're watching. But people in your team, is it a lack of ambition, lack of belief, lack of goals? What's stopping the activity? Lack of belief, got to get it solved. Talk to the leaders, watch some trainings, get you solved. But when that's done, what's next? Lack of ambition. Why? Well, I just don't have any goals. Why don't you have goals? Because I'm content. I'm content with what I've got. Okay, then resign to the fact that you're just not going to be a business owner. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't, you'll feel shame. You'll actually swallow shame each week because you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, and you look back with regret and you start beating yourself up. Don't swallow all the shame. Just accept that you don't want to be a business owner. You don't want to have a part-time business. You don't want to escape the job, whatever it is. Just say that and be okay with it. 10 agents in your team with the ambition who want to make the impact are going to outproduce 1,000 who don't have the ambition or don't have the belief or don't have the desire. Right? So do the mirror test. If you didn't talk to many businesses last week, why? Well, I'm still learning. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I know it all, but I guess I just don't think there's many businesses who need this. That's a belief issue. We can solve that. Why didn't you recruit anyone? Oh, back to what I was getting at when I was talking about what I've earned. The reason I say that is because I didn't miss a BizOp meeting. I didn't miss a Tuesday or Thursday BizOp meeting. Why? Because I was scaling my business and I needed to get out of General Motors. And if I had a Tuesday and Thursday business opportunity, I had to drive 30 minutes to mine. And I was picking people up and bringing them with me. And I was talking between Tuesday and Thursday, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday at lunchtime, Wednesday after work. Who am I going to get to my Thursday meeting with me? Why? Because I got to get out of General Motors. That's why. That's called ambition. That's called a goal. That's called a pending event. To have people not on the Thursday meeting and they are in the business, how? It doesn't make sense to me. I was on. And I'm trying to get people there. And I had people there last night, and I'll have people there on Tuesday. How do you not attend, right? If you're serious about scaling your business and you've got a deadline, I mean, the Tuesday event is like, it's not optional. It is, you're a business owner, but to me, it's like, this is a tool. This is like, I'm going to be a roofer without a nail gun. It's like, yeah, I'm in business with DAC. I'm going to build it, but I'm not going to the Tuesday and Thursday night meetings. No, I don't. No, schedule around it. Schedule around it. We have golf night in my community on Thursdays. I ain't golfing. I'm on a sailing team, Tuesday night races. I'm not sailing this year on the racing team. Why? It's Tuesday night. I got BizOps Tuesday night. Well, David, I'm not sacrificing that. Okay, well, then you may never get out of your corporate job. I got out of General Motors because I was willing to do that. I schedule around it. I can golf Monday nights. I can sail Wednesday nights. I can scale this and then say, okay, guys, now I'm taking Tuesdays off because I do want to sail on this certain team, right? So Tuesdays and Thursdays are not optional if you're really serious about being a market leader. You're really serious about growing a business. So some of you are brand new. You're like, what is he talking about? I'm talking about our Tuesday and Thursday BizOp overviews for the ones who are growing. They're not missable as far as I'm concerned. If your team says, Dave, you're not on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, I know. I know they're there. They're in recording. I can watch them another time. Okay, that's proof you're not building a group right now, David. That's proof, David, that you're not building a group, because if you got new groups coming, you want to be there with them. You want to be there as an example for them. You want to be someone who's a leader with them. Well, they're grown men and women. They can be there themselves. Hey, I get it. I totally get it. But you're not looking to them. if you think this is a tool they should be at, shouldn't you be there too as an example? So I'm not saying if you don't attend, you're not an agent, anything like that. I'm just saying it's hard for anybody to say they really want it and then they're not part of our events. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. Now, obviously, there's cases, but hey, I could have said, hey, I can't attend Tuesdays. I got sailing. Can't attend Thursdays. I got golf. Every night there's something. So at what point does it become a priority to set yourself free? I don't know. Everyone's got a different measure. So, um, but if you want to be an example for your team, I say that's the game plan. You want to see how many people do I have on Tuesdays in my group? Okay. How many preferred fundings did they refer? How many fundings did they do this week? How many new applications came in from my agents this week? How many new agents do I have Thursday? How many of those new agents joined? How many of them have been through the training? How many of them? I mean, these are how you scale your business. And if you're serious about being a market leader. So I'm turning some people off, I know, but I'm not turning the people off who want to build their business. I'm turning the people off who are sitting on the fence, finding reasons why they can't. I've given you a good reason. You should probably quit. You should probably quit because I'm asking you to be at some meetings. You should probably quit because I'm asking you to talk to some business owners. I've given you a good reason. You should quit because I've said anyone under 15,000 is really, it's probably a rescue play unless it's an inspiration play. Unless they're on their way up, it's probably not a good idea they take more money. Okay. So we got the gig funding for the person who's got the business who's trying to go to the next level. We've got it. It's available. Going to the next level. Not because they make bad decisions and their business isn't working and they're not working hard and they're not trying hard and they're not showing up to work every week and they're not trying to make sales and they're not doing outreach calls. So they're only doing 4,000 a month, but they're struggling and they're not trying to increase their sales at all. Don't get them more money. That's a mistake because that 3,000 you're going to get them is going to cost them five. They don't have it. Now, if they're out there hitting it and grinding and they're doing 3,000 a month, man, they're going to be at six before you know it. Good cause. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So fund the right people, fund somebody, talk to somebody, or decide being a business capital agent is not in your future. I'm not trying to push anyone away. I'm just trying to quit you swallowing guilt or shame or allowing you to sit on a fence. Jesus said, you lukewarm, we spit you out. Be hot or cold. Get in or get out, but don't be in between. It does you no good. It actually drive you bananas. It'll drive you bananas. All right. I've talked a lot, shared my heart. I want you to succeed. Ambition, ambition, ambition. But this light only shines bright for the people who believe it. If you believe it, you want to shine bright, man, let's shine. Let's shine. Let's go take this baby to the world. All right. Who's got questions? Any questions at all?
AJ has his hand up.
Go ahead, AJ.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, how are you?
All right, pretty good. I have a question about, I had a guy DM me last night, said, let's talk about the funding.
Yep.
So I DM'd him back this morning and I said, absolutely. And I asked him, how much his monthly revenue was. So I know how to lead him to which option.
Yep.
And he has multiple businesses. I can see that on his LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
So my question is that 15,000 a month, can that include all businesses? Are we looking at this monthly revenue for all his businesses or just one? Can he include all his businesses?
Only if all of his businesses are under one umbrella and one. I mean, if you've got like ABC Company Inc. has three different divisions, then it counts. But yeah, they got to be. Then it counts as one.
Okay.
But by the sound of it, you need 15,000 in a business.
Okay. I don't know what it is yet. I just know that he has multiple businesses on his LinkedIn page, and I don't know which one he's wanting to do yet. So I just want to know how to work that.
Yep. So again, if they've got two, you look at Pepsi Cola, Pepsi owns Taco Bell. So if you're looking at Pepsi, they'll show Taco Bell and Pepsi revenue. Great. But If it's ABC and he's got 5 companies, but they're all individual LLCs with their own bank accounts, then you need to be doing 15,000 and minimum just that one.
Okay, so it's basically like under one bank account.
One company, there could be 5 bank accounts, but it's got to be one company.
Okay.
One pizza restaurant might have 5 different bank accounts because there's 5 locations, and but you need one LLC, one C corp, whatever.
Okay, I understand.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anybody else? All right, then I would just say my encouragement to all of you is go to 50. My encouragement is put the minimum at 50, not 15. And the minimum is 15, but go to 50. Just go there for your own sake and sanity. And I'd say one other thing, and I'm not trying to protect every crevice of our business right now. Obviously, there's a reason for some people at 15 to get qualified and to help them. And we wouldn't offer it. If it was bad for people, we wouldn't offer it. All right. But I'm trying to be transparently honest with all of you to have success. And if you got people between 15 and 20 grand, half the time they're not going to get approved. You got someone over 50, 90% of the time they're getting approved. You have someone at 15 to 20, 40% of the time they're going to take the offer, 60% of the time they're not, because they're going to be at the highest pricing. So quality of product goes up as performance of business goes up. Quality of pricing goes way down. It's eligible, yes. That doesn't mean it's inexpensive for them. You know, when I launched my business, in fact, we're working on a pricing thing, 1.15 to 1.2 as a pricing. But you're going to have to qualify for it. But that's where you should all focus, because that 90% will get approved and 90% will take the offer. Right. So you talk about efficiency and not dejection. Why is it that my last 2 clients didn't take the funding? Because they didn't have a good reason and the price was super expensive. One only got approved for 15 grand. Why? Because their business is struggling. So 15 paying back 23 isn't a good move for them. Right. So they didn't take the funds. I knew going in, this business is struggling. They're going to have a real hard time getting a good offer. So knowing that, it doesn't mean every case is bad. What we want to do is create a belief system in you that this funding is amazing for people with inspiration and growth, because they don't have the money to fund their growth, many of them, or stable businesses that are at a good size, 40, 50 grand a month or more, and need a rescue play. We have great funding for them. 15, 20 grand, that's a real low minimum. It is. And again, most business, if you got 2 employees, you're bringing 15 grand a month in and you're buying a product, you're going broke. You're going broke at 15,000. So please don't, if you're brand new, don't set the minimum and go, that's my ideal candidate. That's our minimum to apply. Your ideal candidate is 40, 50,000 a month or up is where you really want to be fishing. If you want to escape the rat race, if you want to have success and have 80% get approved and 80% get funded and average 80,000 of funding, focus on 50 if you're doing outreach. Of course, you can support anyone else. That's it for right now. Any other questions or comments? I don't have the screen on, so I can't see if any hands are up. I'm looking at some of my notes.
Yeah, we got 2 hands up. Harlequin and Ron.
Ron, you can unmute yourself.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've got a couple things. I've been giving out about 80 of these a week to new prospects. So I had a client apply this week. Fortunately, I called her right as she was doing it. When she went to get on her laptop, she got on someone else's page and it didn't get credited to me, so I didn't know, but she had Brad's name, and so I was able to call Brad. He got it straightened out. I think part of the problem with these cards are our link on here is so small, unless you have a magnifying glass, you can't read it. So she had started the application on her phone, but when she went to do it to her desktop, my info got lost in the mix and it got assigned to somebody else. But Brad could tell where I live that basically I'm the one working the business because I had some other things. So that's just a suggestion.
David, I can answer this if you want
And
me
then
to.
I've got something else. Go ahead.
David, can I?
Yeah, please.
That's actually not what happened. The lady actually applied, Ron, and or gentleman, who it was, and they stopped and they didn't complete. They walked away and didn't complete, so it went into the stall stage. When it went into the stall stage, we started contacting them. So we got someone in the on our inside sales team that's been handling it. It would have already been corrected. It didn't go to someone because we already had the application originally. We know that it's yours. So it was going to come to you regardless. You just didn't get the emails you should have, that you would have gotten if it hadn't been installed, because of the fact that we had to get it going again. And we got it all fixed. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
I was told it was somebody else, but if it wasn't, that's fine. That's
I jumped on that and Brad jumped on it and we corrected it.
But to your point, Ron, though, there are going to be times, unfortunately, where a client goes to the website and they have to enter an ID. They have to enter an ID to advance. But if they just go to David, if they do a search on Google, davidallencapital.com, and they click on someone else's site, which, by the way, we tell everyone they can't use those search terms. We deactivate people who do. We're always looking for people who are trying to look like David Allen Capital. That's not the spirit of our business. But if someone happens to stumble into someone else's site and click on a link, and then you're going to lose credit unless you're on top of it like you are, Ron, and you go, hey, my client said they applied, and then we look at it and go, oh, they accidentally clicked on Harlequin's link. And we call the client, we go, hey, Harlequin, that's actually, they were looking for Ron Buck's site. They didn't realize they clicked on a replicated site. So we've got to move the credit. We've had to do that maybe 5 times in our history, move credit. They go to the wrong site. But generally what happens, like in your case there, Ron, if they go to your site, yeah, they got to look for an agent ID and they can't proceed without one. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll type in Ron, and then we go, okay, we got to talk to him and find out who is the agent. So we'll always try to find the agent. We don't exist without you guys. We know every client came from an agent. We don't do direct ads. We're not running Fox News ads. We could, we're not. So we know every referral came from an agent. So we're always asking the business owner, who referred you? And Ron, they would have said, oh, I got this card. Hey, can you pull out the card? We would have found it. But to one last thing I want to say, just so there's no confusion about what Wade said. When our inside team is working on a deal, we don't always know who it came from, why it came from. So we have a general link called Inside Sales. Inside Sales does not get credit for it. Inside Sales is just so that we can have one link that we send out in case we don't have Ron's ID in it or someone else. We can say, please pick up where you left off, or for convenience, you can click here to continue. And then it comes in under Inside Sales and we know, okay, we got to find out who the agent of record, where they started with. So that's just to keep them moving along so that we have a link to send them. Otherwise, they got to call us or they got to call the agent. Sometimes they don't know. So I think in this case, what happened is they stalled. We reached out, encouraged they continue. They clicked on the link for Inside Sales. We just hadn't manually switched it over to Ron Buck yet. And that's what Wade was saying, what had happened.
And it was good timing that I called her because she was in the middle of doing it and actually,
yeah,
we got the call. My second question is this: she got approved for 65,000. She doesn't need 65. My understanding is she sent an email requesting 25,000. I don't know how all that works. I don't know if she can option down, but that's really her sweet spot where she wants to be. I didn't talk to her yesterday, so I don't know if she, I don't think she didn't not accept it because I didn't get that it was turned down.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an option, but in her case, maybe it's the rare. She wants less than what we approved.
Yeah, no, we can do less. Go ahead, Wade.
Yeah, let me say some good news about that. I have been communicating with her personally, and she actually qualified for our select funding program. I mean, she, even though she's a sole prop, by the way, and most lenders don't fund sole props, we got her one of the top offers. She just didn't need that much. And we always give them what the maximum and
Right.
what have you, and gave them a couple of options. So she now has in her hand a 25 and a $30,000 offer. We should know today which one of those. I'm not saying if, it's which, because she's not going to be able to compete with this offer anywhere else, including the 100% prepayment discount program.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Ron,
I'll
hey,
follow
great
up on that
job,
now.
Ron. Ron, great job.
It is.
know her
Hey, don't you
before?
like it? Don't you love
No,
it?
she was a
when
cold call.
Cold call, care call, we call them. So you
Wow.
Yeah.
tell us the
And
story
I-
a little bit, Ron. Tell the story. You walked into a restaurant, or what kind of business?
Well, no, she has a little shop. So my goal every day is to go out and give out 20 to 25 of these a day.
Yep.
And I find in that I usually encounter one or two people that have some interest. I had first one I went to the other day, they applied anyways. But I walked into her shop, she said, I'm interested. And so this was about 2 weeks ago. And she said, I got to talk to my husband. So I'll get back to you. So I'm like, okay. So I called her the week before and she said, we're looking at it. We just haven't done anything. And then, I don't want to be a pain in the butt, but I don't want her to think I forgot her either. So I gave her another phone call and she's like, oh yeah, I just turned everything in. She said, I'm just, so it was great timing all the way around. And then I did talk to her later on after that when she had some other questions because, I didn't want her to turn down the deal and I'm new, so I don't know. There's a lot I don't know, so
You're doing it the right way, Ron. You're doing it the right way. You're out there meeting, greeting, and informing. You didn't sell her, but you cared. You cared, so you
Right.
followed up. You cared, so you're asking questions here. And Wade cares, and we got her a good offer. Hey, Wade, it's
a great offer. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna call her right after this. I'm gonna get some clarity on which way she wants to go. And then I'll buzz you.
That's
And
awesome.
I'll also say something else, David. I've been doing the bank thing, not to the level you were, but I ordered some flyers and that. I've been approaching that. The other thing I found in working my market, I've gone into a couple of real estate offices and asked for commercial brokers in the office. And I've had a couple of the brokers of the office be really excited about this as an option. It's when I sold real estate, I learned, you're only as good as your team. And to your point the other day with the lender, we're not competing with their client. We're a support for their customer base that, I had a guy one time came into town and I had everything he needed. And he looked at his wife after about me being with him 7 hours, like, this guy knows everything. Well, I didn't know everything, but I had enough resources to give him that I gave the image. I knew everything, but
you had a fully stocked tool belt. You had learned about tools all throughout.
Right.
And you added them to your offerings. And that's fabulous. Great move. I think it's fabulous. You went to real estate brokers and it's amazing because here's another one, guys, mortgage guys and gals who sell to business owners. I've got a mortgage guy who just got started with us, who he focuses on people who are self-employed. What does that mean? They're business owners, and they're business owners trying to get a mortgage. Those are people who also want to get business loans because it's all of his clients are business owners. So there you go. He can get them a mortgage sometimes, but other times they're not trying to get a mortgage. They're trying to get a business loan. So there's another. Hey, Ron, great job. One last thing I'll say is a little encouragement because I agree. You can't fit the agent ID well. I'm not going to show you mine because then you'll see my site. But I went to GoDaddy and I bought a domain. So Ron, you could go to GoDaddy and buy a domain, just call it, whatever, toolfunding.com, whatever you want to call it. And it links to your long site. So that way that can fit on your URL a lot easier. And you can make it real big. You can put it on there real big. And so it's only 6 letters long. That's a lot easier than davidallencapital.com /business-capital /ID number. That's a lot fit
I've
on
actually got an
card.
LLC and a domain name. Can I get that set up in resources?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So you can in your back office, you can add your company name. But I mean, if you go to
Right.
GoDaddy, you could get abcfunding.com. That's short.
Right.
And that links to your site. And now
Right.
mine's only 6 digits long, and it goes right to my long site. So I can put that real big on anything, and people remember that. You don't have to go searching for David Allen Capital. You just know that link. So, you know, ronsmoney.com, they won't forget that, and they won't have to do a Google search, and, you know, they won't stumble on someone else's site. So that would encourage people to go to GoDaddy and buy a domain if you can.
Just
Good
to chime
stuff,
in too
Ron.
really quick, Ron, if you're doing that, ask the domain provider how to do a redirect. You're just redirecting the URL.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Most of them, like GoDaddy puts it right in there. Just for a domain, it asks you right away. You just type in the
Okay.
domain you want it to go to. Yep. Good
Thank
stuff,
you.
Tyler. Thanks for mentioning that. Great job, Ron. Very encouraging. We got Harlequin up next. How you doing, Harlequin?
I'm doing wonderful, David.
Good.
And I second buying a domain name. It makes life a whole lot easier. And it's less than $20 a year. So, highly recommend that. The other thing that I would highly recommend is do not text your domain name to the client unless you have purchased a domain name. Because if you send the davidallencapital.com / and all the other with your agent ID number at the end, what happens is a lot of times when it does a preview, it does not show the agent ID number at the end. And whenever they try, or if they click on it on their cell phone, it does, you don't see the agent ID number at the end. So whenever they, most people are going to apply for funding on their computer or desktop. You're
Well,
much better off emailing it.
let me can just finish the thought, because I text mine all the time. But I know it. So what she's saying is you won't see the ID, so they don't know. But if they click on it, it is going to your replicated site, just so everyone knows. Harlequin didn't say it doesn't. I'm just making sure y'all know. If they click from their mobile phone, they're going to your replicated site. It puts a cookie on their phone. Next time they log on, it's there, but it's not on their desktop. So what she's saying, email the whole link as a link. If you text it, they may only see David Allen Capital. They may not know that if they go to their desktop, what your agent ID is, because they may not even look at their text. They may just go David Allen Capital. So just be mindful that links are emailed. I text them all the time, but I do know that, you could have someone who doesn't know your agent ID. That's
Yeah. Well, also, David, you're using your own domain name. So
but it still pulls up the David Allen Cap.
Yes, it does.
It still shows the same preview as a replicated link.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing is, because I'm in the process of ordering more cards myself, if you go onto the Pro Shop, it does not have a spot for your agent ID number on the back of the thing. And then if you go onto Canva, it has davidallencapital.com and then it has customsite.com. So we need to
Tyler, can you look into that? I'm not sure what she's talking about, but assuming Harlequin's usually not wrong. So if there's
I'm looking at it on my computer right now.
Yeah, if you could, anything like this, please email support the moment you see it, Harlequin.
Yeah,
Because obviously we're not trying to ignore this stuff, but rather than bringing it up on an agent ID call or agent update call for sake of time, just send it into support and we'll get on repairing it if there's an issue.
Yeah, no, I just brought it up because he was commenting about the size.
Nothing wrong with it. If you know of that, maybe you just saw it now. I know you're always sending us stuff, so don't worry about it. All right. Anything else, Harlequin, before we go to?
That's it, David. Thank you.
Thank you. You've been great, Harlequin. Thank you. Leslie, how you doing? Anyone gonna unmute Leslie? Or is she unmuted already?
Unmute. Okay, I'm unmuted.
There you go. Thank you.
I'm great, thank you. I would like to get into cold calling at different businesses. And I think what scares me the most is the no solicitation sign. Do you just ignore them, or do you just skip all those people that have those signs in the windows?
You're talking about live in person, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
live.
So I would say two things. Canvassing as a customer is different than cold canvassing. So if they're a coffee shop and it says no soliciting on the front door, but you're buying a coffee, you're just introducing yourself to the owner where you're a customer, right? So there's times I do that, but generally, you're not selling, you're introducing yourself. So it's just like if you go into a place that says no soliciting and it's a florist and you just happen to walk in and say, I just want to introduce myself because I'm in business funding. I just want to give you a card. I'm not selling anything at all. That's not the same as someone who's there trying to sell you something. But hey, go with what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable walking into a place that says no soliciting, just walk right by it. Most don't have that sign on their door. Or become a customer and introduce yourself as a customer. But I know what you're saying, and everyone's got a different comfort level. We certainly don't want to violate any ordinances or anything. We're not selling. We're networking, and there is a difference. So as you're networking and informing, go with your comfort level.
Okay, good.
I go into them. I don't ignore them. I'm conscious that they don't want to be bothered. So I'm mindful as I'm discussing. I'm certainly not going to interrupt them from doing something in business. I never do. I'm always interrupting, but I'm never interrupting a busy person. I ask, do they have a moment to talk? I just want to introduce myself to them quick. Well, the person tells the owner why you're there, and they may go, yeah, I don't have time to meet someone right now. So I tell them right up front why I'm there. And they can say no, they don't want to meet me, right?
Yeah, you don't go to a restaurant at lunchtime.
Exactly. That's smart. Unless you're eating and then you say, hey, while you're eating, you could talk to the server. Is the owner in by any chance? I'd love to meet him real quick if we could. And they may walk over to your table. That's different.
That's great. Yeah.
Yep.
I figure I'm going to practice on the people that I don't know before I blow away my friends.
You know what? It's interesting. I would say the other way around.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's odd though. I know what you mean. It's an uncomfortable situation. There's something that you feel like because they're your friends, you want to know what you're talking about because they might ask questions. And the reality is, if you take this document and you look at this, and then you look at the quick reference sheet, and you've been through our training, which you have, Leslie, you know more than 99% of the business owners out there, let alone your friends. So you can answer them, and it's okay if someone asks you a question, you go, I'm not sure yet. Let me find out. That's a good question. Let me find out. But most of it you're going to know immediately. So I would say warm market is more understanding. Just be transparent and tell them I'm fairly new. And I really believe in this company. I've been watching their Zooms for a month. And I really believe in the founder. I believe in the company. I believe in the training. I believe in the product. So I'm still learning, but I really believe. Otherwise, I wouldn't be approaching you right now. That'll mean more than your knowledge.
Amen.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Matthew says, always ask them for their card. I see you're busy. Very good. It's a great way to, would it be okay if I email you something? Would it be okay if I take one of these cards and follow up? Would it be okay if I stop back in? You're being very mindful, yet still trying to move it along into a relationship. All right, guys. Any other? Yeah, someone says there's larger cards now. Yeah, you can get the larger cards as well. Marty, you got it. Okay, well, I think we've got everything. Best way to get quality leads, George says. A lead, I'll just end this. If you watch the business funding training, a lead is anybody that can be contacted. A quality lead is anyone you've contacted who's doing over $50,000 a month. Well, David, that doesn't help me a great deal. Do not buy leads. Don't buy them. 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 We got someone right now who gets a couple applications a week. All of them are rejected and they bought the leads. And we keep telling them those leads are being bought by the time they apply with us, they've applied at 30 other places. Or they've got, 2 other places they've applied anyway. And or they've got 7 defaults and those leads are garbage. Don't buy leads. Please tell your team, never buy leads. It wastes our time, it wastes their time, and it wastes their money. And then they say it doesn't work. No, you bought a bad lead. So what's a good lead? Any business owner in a brick and mortar in your town is a good lead. You don't need to buy them. Meet them. Well, I don't want to meet them. Call them. You're going to call leads. Call that lead. So it really is that easy. And I would say one other thing, we're working on a little email journey, but it's going to be email 200 businesses, call the 40 who open them. You email 200, 40 open their email. Those are the 40 you call. Those are more engaged. At least they have got some knowledge. So you're setting the soil up a little bit. So we're working on some things about that. There'll be a module in the LMS about that. So I encourage you to not think you need good leads. Every business is a good lead. That's who is a lead? A business owner. That's a lead. That's the best way you can look at it. Anything else is sales. You think 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 businesses are the right business if they're a brick and mortar. If they've got a business, 9 and 10. And then there's a bunch more too, but at least you know all of them. 9 and 10. 9 out of 10. How many? 90% of them. So do you really want to spend 4 days figuring out which ones are the 90%, or just go talk to all of them? And even the one that is bank eligible, they may not want to wait for the bank and they might be a good lead as well. So just every business. What about this industry? Yes. What about that industry? Yes. What about this industry? Yes. Well, you said legal is not. Okay, so once in a while you walk into a law firm that's not eligible and you didn't know it in advance. That's the only one you got to worry about. Just yes. The answer is yes. There's no reason to wait any longer for a better lead. Are they a business owner? Yes. How big are they? I don't know, but assume they're big enough. Just yes. Well, they're only doing 12,000. Okay, well, you didn't know that up front. That's okay. Now you know. Some food trucks are doing 80,000 a month. Some are doing 800 a month. You don't know till you approach, but brick and mortar, you pretty much know they're doing 40, 50,000 a month or more. All right. God bless you all. You're all rock. I appreciate you all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Mondays.